What is up, crew? Welcome to Seek the Edge podcast with me, Kelsey Lensman, where our goal, our mission is to challenge you outside your comfort zone, which we will on this one, mentally and physically here, so you can tap into the God-given potential inside. And I'm excited because I have two old friends, but also new friends as we're continuing to learn. Zach Turnure and Kristina Turnure. I crushed her last name. And Zach is the founder of Everyday Athlete, and you guys have a podcast. You have
Correct.
a podcast,
Yep.
Everyday Athlete Podcast. Love it. And Kristina is the founder of Built and Balanced. And then both of you, I know you right now, but lead Life Rewired Podcast.
Yes.
So welcome. I'm excited to dig into your stories and also just get some good info from you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Kelsey.
Of course. So I preface before, I want to dig into your stories individually, but I also think there's too much gold here to not shed light on you as a couple, because you have done a lot individually that have grown each other, but then also have helped each other grow. So I'm going to put each of you on the spotlight here. Give me your story about kind of how you led to where you're at right now, and then I'm going to spring some questions on that. Either of you can start off.
Okay. I guess I'll start. I'm Kristina. I'm 31. I'm from Akron, Ohio. We're from a similar
Shout out.
area and probably like 20 minutes away from each other. But I grew up playing sports my whole life, softball, I was a cheerleader, and loved fitness. Part of my story I always joke about is I started doing workouts in my mom's living room with Jillian Michaels workout tapes. Then I fell in love with the gym. I got like a free YMCA membership. Like my mom won like a scholarship when I was younger, and I started lifting after practice and sports, just doing Pinterest workouts. So they were not very effective.
I mean, that was back in the day for us, you know?
Yes,
that was
it's
before
like,
women really lifted as much.
like 8th grade, probably like 2008.
amazing.
So it was like Pinterest workouts, running on the treadmill, not very effective, but hey, I was being healthy, doing Special K diets, not my proudest moments, but I wanted to go to school for something in athletics or fitness. So I did athletic training for my first year.
I didn't know you did that. That's what I did too.
Oh, you
back
did?
in the day.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But they were like, okay, you have to choose between sports and like athletic training. You can't do both at Kent. I went to Kent State, which wasn't far from home. So in my comfort zone at the time, but I did it for like a semester, and I was like, okay, I don't love being a water girl, to be honest. I was like researching like fitness stuff at home, and the classes are similar for exercise science. So I was like, these are my favorite classes. I don't love the clinical hours. So I switched after my first semester to exercise science, and I did internships in cardiac rehab, strength and conditioning. So we laugh now because like Zach was like on the other side of the sport, and I was an intern, but mostly indoor sports. So no football for me. It was like wrestling, volleyball, gymnastics. So fell in love with like the programming aspect then, and like that was the first time I really lifted heavy, and I was actually competing in bodybuilding at the time.
What year was this for you?
This was like my senior year of undergrad.
Gotcha.
2015, 2016, Kent State was like, we're hosting a bodybuilding show for the first time.
You're right.
So everyone was like, we're going to compete. Like everyone in exercise science was like, this is our jam. We have to compete. So my friend who was a nutrition major, he was like, I'll just do your macros. Like I was doing meal plans at the time on bodybuilding.com. And this is when like, if it fits your macros started to become popular. And this was like not how it is now with flexible dieting. It was like, I've been eating Oreos for pre-workout, Pop-Tarts. Like I was like really fitting everything in my macros.
Literally put it in if it fits.
Yeah. So that was like how I got to start into like really seeing change my body composition, and competing was like a whole new world for me. Like the dedication that went into it, I felt like it was like a sport again. So I was like super excited to get into the competing side of things. But first year I did it, I placed pretty well. Top 5, so you're nationally qualified, but I was just like a baby in the sport, and like the competition wasn't that serious compared to other shows. So I ended after that, and then immediately was like, okay, time to go out. Like I was like the DD, like for everyone for like 6 months of prep. So I wanted to go hard on like the other side of things, which was like going out, having fun. So it created kind of like a cycle of like competing, gaining the weight back, competing, gaining the weight back. So I did 2 seasons. I did more shows my second season, but then I realized like this is not very healthy. Like my body image started to take a hit, and my relationship with food and fitness, it made me like kind of hate everything I loved about fitness. Like cardio was like a chore, exercise was like just something to get done. And I was interning at the time and bartending. So I feel like it consumed my life. And so I was like, I just want to find balance again. So I was doing internships in cardiac rehab, my master's, like 2017 to 2018. And that's what I wanted to do for my career. I loved working with older population. They're just like so grateful for your time and education. And I did like presentations on nutrition for them. So I fell in love with that, but no one was really hiring when I graduated. So then I got into doing a social media job for a fitness like startup.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, I moved to Cleveland and was like working at this fitness startup. It was like my 9 to 5 I reference a lot in like my story, but I was the only employee. So it was like a lot. I was like going to expos, I was doing all the social media, but in the meantime, I was at my desk like how to start a business. And I was like doing PDFs and programming and just getting into like the fitness side because people were asking like for coaching after I competed. Yeah. So then I started a business. My boss was like, I can tell you're not really in this. We were on the way to a meeting and I was like, I want to own my own business. Like I just like blurted it out. I was like, I'm not happy. I want to own my own business. Yeah. And he was like, okay, you can get out. And like in the middle of downtown Cleveland, I got out of the car. And
wait, you literally got out of the car then?
Yeah, he was like, why go to this meeting if you're not going to work for me? And I was going to live out my 2 weeks, but he just logged me out of everything. So I was like, I call my mom on the way home and I'm like, hey, I think I just quit my job. I was serving at like a taco place at the time. So I was like,
quit my job. That's even better.
Do I do?
I don't know.
So I was like, okay, well, she's like, just pick up more shifts at your serving job. And she really supported it. And even this weekend when I was home, I thanked her for that because I know it's very rare. Yeah. A lot of my clients now like have desires to be an entrepreneur. And I know that their family's opinion or like perspective on it can really hinder them from starting their own business. So I was like, thank you so much. Like that one conversation, I'll never forget it. I'm walking like through Cleveland with my backpack on. Like I went to a coffee shop and Googled like how to get an EIN, like all this stuff. So that's when I started my business. It was like 2018 and 2017. So then I started Built and Balanced like right away. Like the name just like came to me.
So that was from the onset of it. Mm-hmm. That's even more impressive that you've stayed. Well, I actually was going to talk about consistency later in the podcast. Yeah. But you stayed consistent that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the name just like came to me and I was like, that's my LLC. But it was like, it's changed so much. Like I hired my first business coach. I went through like this evolution of like business from then to now. Yeah. But I started with in-person training and that's what like I wanted to do. And then my second business coach was like, hey, online is growing. You should really get into that. And he was in Columbus. He was like, come down and see this gym. It's no longer exists, but it was like a booth rental. So I was like, this is the perfect
exactly what you're talking about.
way for me to be my own boss and still run, have that facility without owning a gym. So I moved and it was literally like right before everything shut down. So like I was excited to like train this new facility. And then like 2 months later, everything shut down. But I met Zach right when I moved in. And so that's where like our story starts. But it was crazy timing because like I just felt this pull to move and like all my clients, they were even like, why do you want to leave? Like I went from ground zero, like all my clients like ended because they were like, I want someone in person. So I had to like refer them out and start from ground zero. So no one really got it. They're like, why do you want to move? And I really couldn't describe it. I was just like, I know, my God, I'm supposed to be in Columbus. Like I just need to grow. Like I've outgrown the scene and my business was stagnant because I was just like going out and like being post-college, like with the same people. So when I moved here, I was like, I didn't know why, but now we know why. And
just felt that pull.
Yeah. And then here we are. I can get into like, obviously how business has grown since then, but I don't know how much you want me to.
I feel like I could talk to you for 2 hours. Yeah. But I promise you I'm going to Zach. Okay. There's a few things that I want to double down on later, but I'm going to open that up to Zach first and then I'll pull it together.
Yeah, so similar. I played sports literally my whole life growing up and ended up transitioning to a pretty good high school in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm originally from, to play. I actually wrestled my freshman year, and then I played lacrosse and football. The wrestling stint was like short, so then I like really focused in and doubled down on lacrosse and football. But those were like really the main sports that I knew I kind of wanted to pursue. Like those were in my heart and stuff. And as I got toward like my junior, senior year, I just was taking it more seriously. Like I was getting accolades and stuff, like the All-American stuff, all conference, all state, all that. And like recruitment started taking off. And at the time, I always wanted to go to like a big school. Like that was my goal, is to like go to a big university, play for a big program. Yeah. And with a lot of the football offers I had, it was like smaller D1 schools, 1AA schools, like the Ivy League schools, but I wouldn't have gotten into the schools. And with football, like they'll give you the scholarship, but they're like, you have to get into the school. Yeah. My parents think like they could have definitely, or they would have like pulled strings if I really like wanted to go there, but I'm pretty sure like you still have to like get into the university. So anyway, it was like schools like that had offered. And then my lacrosse recruitment like really took off when I did this camp that kind of exposed me to other coaches, because being in the Midwest, like you don't get recruited really for lacrosse. Yeah. So I was able to get exposed to these college coaches through that process. And that's when like my lacrosse recruitment really took off. That's when like Ohio State got involved and like Michigan, Rutgers, Maryland, like the bigger schools were coming for lacrosse. So then I kind of, being young, and it's funny, I like call myself young and dumb for like wanting to chase that, but at the same time, like it literally got me to where I am now. Right. So I like do not regret it at all. Right. But I just really wanted to go to the big school. So I decided, I'm like, hey, lacrosse is going to get me there. So I ended up committing. When I took my visit to Columbus, Ohio, I just like fell in love with Columbus. It's such a cool city. Plus I love that like the college town is just so like immersed inside of it. And so I just decided, I'm like, I'm taking my talents to Ohio State. I'm playing lacrosse. And then in that first year, I was just like really unhappy. And like, I was just like, man, like I just missed that game of football. Like in my heart, like in my head, I'm like, I want to be playing lacrosse on this team. But then like in my heart, it was like pulling at me where I'm like, I really miss football. And like anybody that has played the game, there's just so much passion with that sport. It is just different. Like there's just nothing, no other sport I've played that can come close to it yet. And so I just really felt that gravitational pull toward football. And so I decided to actually quit the lacrosse team, walk on the football team, give up my scholarship to get no scholarship, and then ended up playing the rest of my time on the Ohio State football team, but always had the goal of playing, getting on the field, all of that, and literally worked my way up from somebody that was, because we had like, there's levels to it, and I talked about this on different podcasts, but it's like you had like 120 people on the team and like 50, 60 travel, so like half travel, and then like there's a chunk that don't even like really go to the games. That you literally get invited to sit in the stands. That was literally me. So I wasn't even dressing. I was not even like standing on the sidelines. I literally was like a practice squad guy and like literally invited to sit in the stands, and worked my way from that to literally getting a full ride scholarship on the football team.
Oh, geez, I didn't know. That's crazy.
Did you never know that story?
No, no.
Oh, I didn't know that. So yeah, dude, I started out on the lacrosse team in 2013. And then 2014 was my sophomore year, and that's when I walked on the football team. And yeah, dude, like literally started at like the lowest of the low as a nobody. And I had gotten, like I said, recruited out of high school. And so like I knew I could play, but I definitely had like a ways to go still, like developing at a top program like Ohio State. But I just always had that like deep down, like I know I'm going to get on the field. Like I know I can do this. And I even had like friends that didn't believe it. I had people that were like, no chance. Like nobody plays as walk-ons. Like it wasn't even a thing. Like it was a very much so a thing in the culture that like walk-ons just did not play. Like literally it was like laughed at. And so like that's where I, overcoming that really helped me. I've talked about this on my own podcast, but like literally going through that process and delaying that gratification, understanding how to work through adversity, like not getting what you want for years and then getting it, like it was a masterclass for joining entrepreneurship and starting my business.
Prerequisite
yeah, I always say, I'm like, dude, if I did not go through that, like I would have never survived owning my own business. Like I learned everything through that process. And then, working my way on to the field, earning a full ride scholarship, starting in every game my senior season. And then that's really where it shifted, where I'm like, damn, like, I could potentially play this at the professional level. And a lot of guys and coaches were kind of comparing me to guys that played for the Buckeyes in the past who were kind of like, on the fence guys, but really killed it on special teams, but like played still on offense and defense, but like really killed it on special teams. So like they were kind of comparing me to that and those types of players. So I really in my head was like, okay, I can make a team. And so I ended up doing pro day at Ohio State. I did like my 40-yard dash, like bench press, all of that. Ran like a good 40. I ran it in like 4.69 seconds. So pretty good 40 at my size and position. And then like did well on the other testing, but ended up like not getting a whole lot of attention from that. And I even had like coaches calling me like, have you heard anything from like any NFL teams yet? Cause like on that weekend, they're basically just like calling people all weekend long. And I was like sitting in my apartment with my best friend, Justin, like literally like waiting, like I'm literally like waiting for the call. Like I'm anticipating, like I am going to 100% get a call. And I never did. And then like after that there was like one thing with like the Cleveland Browns where they like brought guys in to do kind of like a workout and like another pro day where you do some of the drills. And like I got invited to do that. And that was kind of like a spark. And then I also had gotten some contacts with like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but then that just kind of like fizzled out, like nothing really happened. And that's kind of how that process works. Like any guys that played in the NFL or who do play in the NFL, like it is just like a small fleeting window and you have to like get that opportunity, execute and like really take advantage. But yeah, just nothing really ended up coming from it. But luckily at the time I was able to jumpstart my MBA. So like I started my grad school program online while I was training here in Columbus at Ohio State for Pro Day. So when nothing ended up happening, I didn't really have like a concrete, strong plan B. Like I do applaud athletes who like, they know exactly kind of what that plan B is. But like for me, I had truly kind of, especially as I started to like get the scholarship play, I like took all my chips and I'm like football, like I'm all in, baby. So when it ended, like a huge piece of me was just literally gone, void. Like I had no idea who I was. I was completely freaking lost, dude. Completely lost. And when you are lost, you let a lot of external opinions kind of push you in the different directions of your life. And that's where I just naturally kind of segued into like a corporate sales job. Everybody's like, dude, you'd be good at sales. Like you got your MBA, you could work up have a great career in this, so I got in a sales role, and I got promoted 3 times in my first year at like 24, 25 years old. I was like a sales rep. Then I got promoted to a business development manager. Then I was a sales manager literally at 25. Dang. I was like the youngest sales manager in company history, managing dudes older than me. And then at that point, like as I was continually like progressing in that career, I was like progressively getting more and more unhappy and miserable. So it was like this weird kind of like, everybody thinks you're successful, but like you're absolutely miserable inside. And then it was kind of ironic because like around that time where I was like really tested, like my character was tested, my just identity was tested, and I like really started leaning into the personal development. And it's ironic because around the time I had like fallen off track with my fitness, like it wasn't a huge priority. And that was kind of the first thing that kind of got my mind right and that got me back into just this like developmental evolution stage of my life where I didn't just like give up and say like, oh, my fitness is over and done with. It was like, all right, let's get this back. Like it's you're going twice a week. Like I at least had the awareness to be like, dude, this isn't good. You got to get back in the gym. And that literally, dude, like started to just jumpstart all of this growth from that point to literally where I am now. Like I tell people this all the time. I'm like, where I am now from there was like started with one simple ass decision with like, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and start working out again. That dominoed into fixing my nutrition. That dominoed into like this newfound love with fitness and training and health. That stumbled into, personal development, questioning my life, questioning what I'm doing with the sales job. That was the catalyst that got me into quitting my job, starting this business and chasing fitness is like, this is it. And the irony, dude, is like, through my whole journey, like as a young athlete, that's why like we joke sometimes, like she did the exercise science major and stuff. I'm like, dude, this is staring me down my whole life. Like when I was like when I was a kid, even when I was like a kid, like little, I'm talking like 2-3 years old, I'm climbing on top of my mom's van. She's got like pictures of me in a Spider-Man outfit that I wore for like the first 2 years of my life. And like, so it's just like, it makes sense. Like fitness has just always been there, physical activity, physical movement. And I even tell her, I'm like, there's been so much evidence now that I'm in it of like, dude, this is where I need to be. Like I'll have like a day where, maybe I'm not having the best day. And then I'm like in there with one of my clients or some of my clients are like just training and my whole mood just switches. And like, just even where I've kind of taken things myself in this kind of industry and field, like there's just so much evidence where I'm like, okay, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. So it's just crazy, dude. A lot of just growth and personal development, like all through that. But that's kind of like the broad scope.
Oh my, I've learned so much about you in the first 10 minutes as both of you.
Yeah, I had no idea you didn't know that story.
No idea. There's a sense of what I get from both of you is like you both are exactly where you are meant to be with what you're doing. Not just the people that you are, but who you serve. And there's two things that pulled out in my brain with it is you both, I call it the nudge, but you both had this like sense. For you, it was move to Columbus. Doesn't make any sense. I don't have any clients in Columbus yet. And probably multiple other areas, or like, hey, I feel like I should start a busin's. I don't know how to start a business. What even is an EIN number? And also for you, it was, okay, I went from playing lacrosse to a nudge of like, man, there's something with football, to also the nudge of I was in a corporate role, succeeding from everybody else's terms, but I feel a lack of fulfillment. This is me putting words in your mouth.
100%.
Lack of fulfillment.
100%.
And in my life, I wanted to ignore the nudge a lot because it's scary. There's a lot of unknown at the other side. There's a lot of uncertainty. But then the also second theme that I pulled from both of you is the redirection in life, which goes along with the theme of like hindsight. It's always easy to look hindsight and be like, oh yeah, everything makes sense. But when you're going through it, it is muddy. Like it does not feel good. So what's your perspective? What's your thought on kind of honoring that nudge, and how have you worked through it, like tactical steps? And then also what's your thought on the redirection piece of it either?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, and I would answer this differently if I hadn't gone through those nudges, but I can say like now, like all of those nudges are just a sign that you're not where you're supposed to be. And it is a sign, like it's literally your body's like physical sign telling you you are not where you need to be. And I've even, dude, it's crazy, Kelsey. Like there's been times like behind the scenes I don't talk about. That's why it's good we're talking about it on here. But
it's
like,
called exposed.
Yeah, but dude, like there's been so many times, but like I cannot even describe to you how many times, like throughout owning this business, where like, dude, it's like eating me alive on the insides, and it's like, dude, this is literally like a sign. Like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and like this is a physical sign telling you like you're not there. And this is and luckily I have the reps to know and identify that as a redirection. But I think a lot of it just comes down to like knowing what you value. Like I talk about that so often, but like that's what I know helped us like have the confidence when we met each other, like in our relationship. That's how we had the confidence individually to like do the things we've done, is like before we took action, we got clear on like our value system. So like, what do we value? What do we actually like want? Like, not like, what did everybody tell me I want? What is society for the last 30 years of my life or 29 years of my life told me that I need to want or I should want? And like, you really do have to break down those layers and just get so clear on what you value, because like, that's kind of the foundation. Cause like, once you get that, then you know those signs are like signs to redirect. You know what I mean? Or you know, like, hey, I'm not where I should be. I need a realignment. But I think it really does start with just like, you do have to get very clear on just what you value, because that's your North Star. Like when you're in those hard decisions, like you described, where it's like, how do I know what to do? It's like, if you know those values, if you know what you want deep down, like at a foundational level, those decisions actually become easy. Like I've found that like in those pinnacle moments, the hard part is like identifying it. The easy part is changing directions.
Yeah. Oh, my
you know
gosh,
what I mean? Like the hard part is accepting it and accepting that truth. But like the easy part for me has always just been like the redirection. Because as soon as I accept it, like I know what I need to do. Yeah. But it's like I have to accept that. And sometimes it's not hard, or it's not easy. Like you said, like sometimes it's really, really hard to accept that truth. But once you do, you can then move.
What does that mean to you? I don't mean to interrupt, but when you say accept that truth?
Yeah.
I know what that means, but what does that mean to you? Or that person that's like, what is he talking about? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so say, you know, I'm dealing with business adversity. Things just aren't working out how I want them to work out. You know, the truth is there's some things that are not like, there's some things that are not going well. And like, that's the truth. I could either accept the truth that, hey, some things aren't going well and you need to like correct them and tidy them up and like optimize them within the business. Like you're just lacking, to be quite honest. Or I could like play the victim and be like, oh, I'm perfect. My business is perfect. I don't need to change anything. And then I would have just stayed stuck in that position. But it's like, because I was able to accept the reality, it's almost like accepting the reality. It's like, don't be delusioned by what's comfortable or what the story you want to tell yourself, or like the easy route. Like you just got to accept the reality of what's in front of you, so that then you can move on from it and honestly evolve beyond it. Like, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. You're getting really honest with yourself is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And self-honesty.
That is tough
which is
to
hard.
do, because you want to paint at least, not you. I wanted to paint a picture that is more rose-colored glasses, because sometimes the hard decisions, it can feel easy in the short term to avoid them, but so much harder in the long term.
100%.
Personally, professionally, in other areas, so I get that. Okay, Grace, what about you?
Yeah, I let myself get so uncomfortable that like I had no choice but to listen to the nudge. Like I would let myself almost not get to like rock bottom, but like I had no choice, because I couldn't identify like the nudge or like a gut feeling like back when I was in my early 20s. I think the first like nudge I listened to was when I like wanted to start my own business. And I actually lost my dad, and I was serving at the time, and he was in hospice. So we kind of knew it was coming, but I couldn't get someone to cover my shift. So I was like at my shift, someone was coming to relieve me. And this was when I was like in between like starting my business, but I was like late to say goodbye because I was like at work.
No way.
Yeah. And I honestly like think that was meant to happen for a reason, because I was like, I don't know if I want to see it happen. Yeah. But to me, I was like, I will never be in a position where I can't be there for a family member, or like, I want to make my own schedule. I want to work for myself.
That's a huge why behind your like being online versus like in person.
Yeah, that is my ultimate why. Because like when stuff happens, we've gone through like losses in the past few years. I've been able to like drive up to my mom and be there in like 2 hours. So to me, that was like, I have no choice but to like listen to this. So actually like right after my dad passed, I'm like, this is my sign to like go all in. I hired my first business coach like a week later, and I was like, I'm not going to let myself sit in this. Like my why for fitness has always been like to create healthy like coping mechanisms and like addictions in my life, because I've seen that take over people in my family. So to me, that's my why for starting my business. So that was when I first listened to that nudge of like, okay, this has been staring me down. This is like, I have no choice but to do it. And then when I moved to Columbus, I had that gut feeling where like, I started to feel the same symptoms of like in my body, like I felt a little bit more stressed, or I felt like a pit in my stomach. Like I knew something had to change. And so my mom was like, listen to yourself. Like this is something that helps me with nudges, is like having supportive people like Zach and I are for that for each other. My mom was that person for me before I met him. And she was like, when you feel that emotion come over your body where like you feel stressed, your like chest feels tight, or you feel a pit in your stomach, like something has to change. And this is like that rock bottom for you before like, you know, something is a change is happening or a transition has to come. So that's when I moved. I was like, okay, I feel that feeling again where like I have no choice. I'm like in that spot where I'm feeling those symptoms. So when I moved to Columbus, that was like the nudge I listened to. So every time you do it, I feel like you become more confident and you don't get yourself to that position of like, okay, I have no choice but to do this. Or like the nudge is so obvious, like people around me notice it. Like now I'm able to like feel the nudge, act
you can
on
let
it.
Get there.
Yeah.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Same.
Yeah. We all have. We know
Like,
the feeling now.
Yeah. We all three of us. Yeah.
Yeah. But then that happened again. Like after I started Built and Balance, I joined like a coaching company and I was like the head coach for a while, and it grew super rapidly, but it like took over my life. And like I was super burnt out. I wasn't acting in alignment. Like the things I was doing was not like in my purpose. Like I love like the coaching aspect, like going deep with people. And I was doing like a lot of like admin trainings, like rehiring and all these things. And to me, that wasn't, I just felt like burnt out. Like I was literally like a zombie in my everyday life. And Zach was able to notice it. I feel like, and me, my mom noticed it. Like, hey, you know, you're not yourself. You're not like, I was like, that nudge was getting more obvious. And then the weekend we got engaged, I'm like, I do not want to live like this. Like, I don't want to be walking through my life like a zombie, burnt out. So then that gave me confidence to like go back to doing Built to Balance again. So that was staring me down for like months, and I would journal about it. I would do personal development. So like that helped me get in tune with like that gut feeling. But I knew like after all that evidence of like when I listened to this nudge, like the redirection brings me to a better place. I had that evidence and the people around me who believed in me. So I felt confident like every time like doing the hard thing because my life was better on the other side of it.
You said a word in there that I was like, it was coming to my brain as evidence.
Yeah.
And when you say evidence, I'll say like building proof of when you have a bank of experiences where you either took the leap, and sometimes it doesn't go well, but at least you took it and gave yourself the courage to take that leap, or you're like, man, I didn't think I could do that thing, start the business, move to Columbus, and I did that. So maybe this isn't so bad if I take the leap here.
Yeah.
And when you build that proof, you can draw on that bank of experiences. And I think that this is a personal opinion, but that's why it's important to put yourself in those scenarios to build that proof, because it makes fear less powerful, I think. We still have fear. I still have fear to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want fear to completely dissipate, or else I'm going to do something dumb, and you know, so we don't want it to go away, but it has less hold over us. And I think that nowadays fear can just grip so many people, and it's just fictitious stories that we're telling ourselves.
Yeah.
But it can hold people back from their potential, whether it be fitness, business, personal, because they just don't think it's for them. And that's for Zach and Kristina, but not for me. You know, and I think that's just a dumb lie we say.
It is. I think that like when I know in seasons where I haven't done personal development, I'm like so comfortable because like if you're not feeling that fear, you're like playing small. Like ultimately, and I'll go through seasons of like even business where I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit too comfortable, where like I need to do something that like scares me almost. But I think personal development helps you like feel confident in yourself in building that evidence outside your comfort zone.
We want to put you in a constant place of that reflection. Like the personal development is what's constantly putting you in a place to like self-reflect, assess. Like I'm so big on that. That's something I've been talking about a ton recently on social media. And like, you know this too, Kelsey, and you too, Chris, like working in fitness, but it's like that reflection is literally like what helps you calibrate and ensure like, are we going in the direction we want? Are we not? So I think like just making space to even identify that is huge. And like you said, personal development kind of is that way of making space for yourself to self-reflect and almost like be honest with yourself on like, am I where I want to be, you know? Yeah.
I think something I struggle with for a long time, and many people may relate to this, is like when you're in that season of like you're feeling those feelings, you can distract yourself. So like you don't have time to reflect. And I've done that before too, where like just distractions like one after the other. And then either someone catches it for me or I catch it. And I'm like, okay, why am I avoiding like thinking about this? And that's when like those big decisions come when you slow down enough to like be present with it, which is so important.
When you say personal development, what are some things that you both do? Like let's pull it tactical, because I know when I hear podcasts, it's like, oh yes, personal development, that sounds good, but then how do they implement that in their life, and like what does that look like? So what's some things you do, what's some cadence of either you guys do together or individually that has really helped you guys have that pause and reflective time, but also continue to grow?
Honestly, like for me, a centralized part of my personal development, like literally since before I ever started this business, when I was like going through things mentally with like loss of identity and all of that, like what I found was super helpful is just like exposing myself in the form of like books, like exposing myself to these personal development books or books where it's like talking about self-help, talking about self-improvement, giving examples of other people who have accomplished great things in their lives, or driving home a point utilizing real world examples of people who have been successful. And honest to God, dude, like I feel like exposing myself to so much of that material has, like, almost to your point, Kelsey, what you were saying earlier, it's like dumbed down the fear factor for me, because it has showed me that, oh, that guy that you guys look up to, or that famous person that everybody knows is super famous and rich and stuff, like they started just like you and I, dog. Like, and if you start studying all of them, you start seeing a trend, and it's like, yo, like none of these people were overnight successes. They all worked for it. So I think, like, for me, exposing myself to those materials has really shown me, like, bro, you can do it too. If you're on this pursuit of greatness and like you want to do big things, and like you want to achieve big things, like the evidence is there. It's possible. It's like, are you willing to endure? So I think, like, for me, just exposing myself has helped gain the perspective that, like, hey, anything is possible, but also it kind of keeps me engaged on those days where, like, maybe I am having like not the best mindset. Kind of exposing myself to those materials, like right when I'm starting out my day, it then kind of like reignites that motivation. So I find that, like, reading, and I've gotten away from it during certain seasons where I'm like, and I tell her that, I joke, where it's like, you got a million things going on with the business. I want to, like, I wake up like wide awake. I'm like, I want to go into the business first thing as soon as I wake up. But it's like, no, dude, you're going to burn at both ends. You got to make that time for you. So I think, like, that's a huge piece of my personal development is reading books, exposing myself to those materials, but then also just taking a constant consensus of, like, how things are going. Like constantly, like constant. Like I'm almost probably, like, I joke that I'm like a psychopath because I do this so much, but I do it with my business. I do it with my life. I am constantly making space and time to reflect and to take consensus of, am I where I want to be or am I not? And what actions need to change to either move me closer to that goal, or like change some things that are holding me back from that goal. And I think, like, kind of those two things, like, while there's like some other things like journaling and stuff like that, those are like the two big buckets of my personal development, I feel like, that keeps me going, because I know that reflection has literally, like, saved my business. It's helped me in my fitness journey. It's helped us, like, in our relationships. It's helped us with friendships and stuff. Like, just that proactive reflection can just get you ahead of so many things that otherwise might erupt later on. You know what I mean?
What was the quote you said this week? It was like reflection.
Oh, yeah, reflection enables refinement. I was like on a call with one of my clients. Reflection enables refinement. So I did like a whole post on this last week, but yeah, basically, like, especially us high performers, and I know a lot of high performers probably listen to this podcast, we are all going at 100 miles per hour, dude. I just said, like, when I wake up sometimes, I'm like, we have 800 things we got to do for the business, and it's like the last thing that I want to do right now is like my morning routine. But like, it's become a necessity, because I know if I don't do that, like, I'm going to burn out for one, but then also that inspiration's going to die, the motivation's going to die, and then what happens? Like, I'm probably just going to die out. So, like, I got to keep that stuff going, and we see it with clients, like, being deep into this now, like working with people in the trenches, one-on-one, like not just being hands-off, but like truly in it, working with these people. Like, dude, you really see that, like, reflection is everything. Like, especially in fitness. Like, if you don't make space, like, even me, dude, like, I'm sure you guys are like this. Like, dude, there's even times in my journey where, like, if I even like remotely start kind of like just getting a little mindless, like, I start gaining weight. I start like going backwards. Like, it's like really easy to do, like, especially like with your health and fitness. So, like, we have seen through coaching the value of making space for reflection. And it's like, if we can take that practice and leverage it into our business, in our relationships, everything, just life, that's kind of like what I've done. That is what helps me, honestly, like, make progress fast, because, like, anytime an issue occurs, or anytime, like, there is like a fork in the road, like, I get there quick, solve it, and then keep going. And like, even if it does mean like a lateral pivot, or like, you know, manipulating and changing the brand a little bit, or like, you know, just little things that, like, it might be a sidestep, you know, we're still progressing. You know what I mean? We're still moving in the direction of our goals. So it's like, I just think it's so important utilizing that reflection, because without it, like, it will not enable any movement. Like, we'll just stay stuck. We'll just flatline. If we're always just distracted, moving at 100 miles per hour, we're just flatlining and we're never getting better. But those points of reflection are what actually give us the time, the space, and the mental energy in our busy ass lives to actually pause and say, what do I need to fix?
Is that a weekly? You went on a
This
mic
is like
drop
daily.
session there.
This is like
that
daily.
A weekly? Is that morning, night? What?
Morning.
How many questions? What do you ask yourself?
I just like to I just am like taking a consent. Yeah. I mean, really just looking at, like, where am I at from a business standpoint, kind of like broadly. Where am I at from like a life standpoint? And those are probably the two big ones that I'm like constantly reflecting on.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, that was great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Follow that
Hard
up,
to
Chris.
follow that up. But I love that you asked this because as we were talking and you said personal development, I'm like, if I'm a listener, I'm like, because we say this all the time on our podcast, like personal development. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you asked that. But it's actually what our relationship kind of started over. Like I DM'd him a personal development. Like he met Lewis House.
Personal development.
Yep.
He met with Lewis House. When
I had a picture with Lewis House on my birthday or something. I saw him in literally a coffee. He was like doing his School of Greatness thing. And
when you said pursuit of greatness, it made me think of this.
Yeah. But it was just funny. Yeah. I literally took a picture with him and then you DM'd me the picture of me with him to like start conversation.
Yeah. I was like, I have no other
That's the best pickup line ever.
I was like, how else do I do this? Because I was like, okay, next time he posts a story, because when I followed him, we met like our meeting stories, just like a whole thing. But I'm like, okay, now that I follow him, he's like working out. He likes personal development. I saw the picture with Lewis House. I'm like, oh my gosh, my dream man. So I'm like, next time he posts, I'll message him. Didn't post again for like weeks.
Yeah, I was
Come
not posting.
And
I
at this
wasn't
point,
doing this.
I'm like, okay, I'm never gonna see this guy again if I don't just shoot my shot. So I messaged him that picture and was like, oh my gosh, how'd you meet Lewis House? But I'm like, we bonded over personal development,
amazing.
and then met for coffee and he told me his personal development like routine and like his football story, and I'm like, okay, that's it for me. But so we bonded over personal development. So it's still very important to us, and we do our morning routines together now. But before I met Zach, I would really do a lot of journaling. So in that season of my life, starting my business,
Most days.
I like
We'll be real. Not every day.
Yeah. Someday,
most days.
ideal world. But in the beginning of my like business journey, I would do hired business coaches. I feel like that was a lot of personal development for me because owning a business is the ultimate personal development.
I just said that last
Dude, it
podcast.
is.
Yeah, it'll expose you.
Yeah, it really shows you your strengths and weaknesses. So to me, I would like journal each morning of like what I wanted. Like I'm big on like vision boarding, so I would be like, what do I want like my dream day to look like? What's my dream career look like? And 8 years later I'm living it, which it must have worked. Like the vision boarding, and I would do affirmations, gratitude, like being grateful where I'm at in each season while still looking forward to where I want to be. But I was always reading personal development from like, I started with like women, so like the You Are Bad, do you cuss on this?
Yeah, you're good.
You Are Badass series. So a lot of the like female empowerment, self-help books. So that really gave me confidence in like, okay, these women are doing the thing, so can I? Because I didn't know any other entrepreneurs. Like to me, that was exposing myself to people who are business owners, and personal development just really reshaped my mind when it came to like, I'm capable of doing this. So I would read personal development, journal each day, take classes. I was like a chronic like investor. Like I was business coach course, masterclass, another certification. Like to me, that's personal development too, like leveling up your craft. And then I started investing in therapy a few years later. And to me, that's like the ultimate form, I feel like, of personal development. Cause that's like what I hear in the back of my mind when I'm like making decisions. So he said like, how does that come into our everyday life? I do therapy monthly. So when I'm in between sessions, I'll be like, okay, here's my homework. And she's always like, you're so funny because you like want a book recommendation, you want homework, and then when you come back, you're like, here's what I did. Like that's just how I've been my whole life. Like
I'm
star
very
student.
similar to that. I get that.
So she's like, it's just so funny. She's like, I don't want you to like read these books. I want you to implement these things. So like when I'm doing something she wants me to work on, she's in the back of my mind, and that's how we are for our clients too. Like we are in the back of their minds when they're going through the making decisions with nutrition or training or just leveling up in general. So that helps me in those moments where like I want to act in my comfort zone or like how I normally would, but like this future me I'm trying to create, this is how she acts and changes her habits. So therapy's been super helpful for me. But each morning, like my PD routine now is like I'll read 10 minutes. I'll go through changes to or like seasons where I want to read fiction. Like that's to me like filling my cup. So like ideal morning I'm reading 10 pages at least, or like 10 minutes. I'll journal like my day, gratitude, affirmations, play my day out, and then I'll also do vision board on Pinterest. That's like my favorite social media is Pinterest. I'll go on my vision board and click like add more, and it will just be like our future we're building together. So every day it like reminds me of like, this is what I'm working towards. Like I can't
like that.
slack off today.
I really like that.
And then I take a step further because I did do a masterclass on like becoming her, like the future you want to become. So I have like a vision board for just this year alone. So it's like the things I want to accomplish this year. And so it's like certain, like whether it's like business ventures or fitness goals, whatever that may be. And I add to that each day too. So I have like my long-term vision goal board and my current vision for this year. And so that really motivates me. Like if I had to pick like one thing for my morning routine to do every day, it would be that.
Really does, because it is similar to even like what I do, where I'm like constantly like doing that reflection of like, am I where I want to be? Am I not? And it's kind of like you're doing that just through like imagery.
Yeah.
You're like,
very
this
much
is
so.
where I want to be. Like this is the vision that I'm setting, and how can I now close that gap with intentional action every day? And I honestly think, dude, that's like that is something that has helped us big time. Is like kind of like how you asked Kelsey. Like that's not even something I'm doing weekly. Like I'm asking myself those things every single day. So it's like I am not and that's why I joke about being a psycho, because I'm like, I don't give myself much grace to like be comfortable or to be satisfied, like really ever. And I'm working on that. Like, honestly, like, I have to like literally work on that.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, just as much on the flip end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
You all are inspiring me with it. I'm like, okay, let's get your habits. Well, it's from the Bible, but the quote that's coming up is, where there's no vision, the people will perish.
Yeah.
And that's so true. And I'll be very transparent right now, is over probably the last 8 months, like, I have been nonstop in the weeds, go. Like, just kind of how you were saying, you wake up and it's like a million things to do.
100%.
And I actually was just thinking about this like last week. So this is crazy that you're talking about this. But I have lacked my intentional time with re-engaging my vision for what my personal life is.
So easy to do.
For what, like, yes, I have a business vision, but it's very vague right now, meaning it's not as clear as I want to dial it in to be. And we've seen this fitness coaching is like, where there's vague goals, there's vague results too at the end of the day. And so you're almost reaffirming what I was even thinking about a week and a half ago. Like, Kels, take some time to really sit down and pause to re-engage. Okay, where do you as a human, not business, like, where do you as a human want to go?
Yes.
What relationship do you, and I'm decently clear, but like, what relationship do you want to have? Where does your business, like, how do you want to function? All of those
questions,
little questions that are easy to forgo in the moment when you get caught up in the day-to-day, but are so important to continually ask. And then building, which kind of goes into where I want to take you, even though we have to end pretty soon, builds into the consistency of those habits, because it's not just a one and done question. It's what are your routines that support that? And that's what I've noticed from both of you, whether it be social or just like you as a human from afar, because I don't know you super well, but decent enough, is just the word consistency keeps coming up. Is y'all are just so dang on consistent. You don't like ride crazy high and not crazy, like, you're just so consistent, but it's through that compounded consistency that you're the people that you are, you know? So I don't even have a question from that. It's more of just like a great job on what you're doing, and more of a reflection from me of, okay, like, it's time to be intentional to re-engage that vision for me.
Well, dude, I respect that, because like, I actually talked about this on my podcast. Like, I went through that a couple times throughout my business, but dude, like, even recently, like, where toward the end of like 2024, segueing to 2025, same thing, dude, literally, where I was like, super busy, getting pulled in 8 million different directions, thought I wanted to scale the online business and leave the in-person stuff behind. And like, dude, that was my nudge. Like, I was doing that, Kelsey, and I was literally miserable. Like, inside, she got to see it, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this, dude? I'm like, I know I want this. I'm like, I know I want to like build this online business. I don't want to be tied down to the in-person, but dude, like, it was eating me alive. And it was literally like and I said this on the podcast, I'm like, my brain was telling me one thing, my heart was telling me another. And like, that was a nudge. And since then I've recalibrated, where I brought the in-person back, and like, dude, I'm literally, I love it. Like, I love it. I'm thriving on it. It's awesome. But dude, to your point about consistency, and I do think this will be important for the audience, is like, dude, I literally look at it like a Rubik's Cube, where it's just every single day you're flipping those colors. And like, sometimes you're flipping it left, sometimes you're flipping it right. And over time, when you're putting in enough reps, and it's not going to be pretty and it's going to be ugly. Like, dude, I joke with her, I'm like, it has taken me 5 years to get to a place where I like actually have like a consistent content schedule. Like, I've been posting content for 5 years, dude, learning. And like 5 years later, I feel like, okay, pretty confident with like, these are the main posts I'm doing consistently, weekly, on repeat. And like, it's taken me 5 years to get there, dude. But I never, throughout that 5-year span, did I ever stop posting content? No. I was posting content that whole time, failing in public. And so like, you have to like take action and constantly calibrate while you're taking that action. And I feel like so many, and that is how consistency is built. Like, literally, you have to do, correct, get feedback, gain evidence on what's working, not working. And then that's the only way you build consistency, is literally like through doing first, like taking action, even if it's ugly, wrong, not right. Like, you just got to take action, and then use that to guide, and then use that to then like recalibrate where do we go next. And so like, no, I really do appreciate that, Kelsey, with the consistency thing, because we are intentional with that. And I know I'm intentional with it. And a lot of it comes down to that ability to like still show up and do something and put something out there. but also know that you're going to have to still get better at the thing. It's literally like a fitness journey, dude, where like, you know, like when you're talking to somebody, it's like, yo, there's no end destination here. Like you're going to be doing this like forever. So like you might as well just like work through these like issues and like these struggles. And that's honest to God, dude, like how I think of life is like, and business is like, I'm always going to be doing this. So it's like, I basically just have to get focused on the micro picture and like constantly go through that process of, again, like reflection, enabling, refinement, and like constantly going through that. And then over time, like you build this like crazy amount of confidence in what you're doing because you've trial and errored so many things that like you have concrete evidence of like, I know the action I have to take. And then at that point, like you can build up that routine of those weekly inputs, and then you're not questioning You're like, I live and die by this system. And like, I saw somebody post that before I came in here where it was like systems equal success.
Yes,
and I'm like,
sure.
the only way I've been able to create systems is by jumping into the fire and like messing up horribly, learning, refining, creating those systems. But it's like, most people think you just jump to the systems, but it's like, no. And the consistency, but it's like, no, you have to jump into the fire. You just got to throw yourself in, muddy, ugly, everything in between, and go and learn as you go. Like literally plain and simple. That is the only way like you're able to build that consistency. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And to me, consistency, I appreciate you saying that so much because we like do every day. We're like, okay, we got to show up. Like no matter how we're feeling, we got to show up. And I think us doing it together like helps because we see each other like.
That does help. Like having a partner in your immediate life who is like of the same mindset, like 100%, that has helped us. Like, especially in moments when it's like, it is like a struggle or like, you know, it's just, we've really been able to lean on one another for sure behind the scenes.
I've always told Zach he's like one of the most reliable people. My mom always says that about him too. Like he'll always answer. Like my phone's on Do Not Disturb and like him and my mom can come through, like, you know, the settings. But like Zach will always answer no matter what he's doing, or like he'll always do what he says he's going to do. So like that motivates me because he's someone I trust. And like that's how you want to be for yourself too, is like consistency builds trust in yourself. And that's what we tell our clients all the time. And that reliability in yourself helps other people believe in you. So to me, like my clients inspire me because I'm like, okay, if I'm telling them to show up or like be consistent, I can't not show up. Like I have to go to the gym today because I have to post that I went to the gym. I'm checking in. I'm sharing my accountability in my group chat. Or I said I would hit my nutrition goal this weekend and show them how. So now I have to do it myself. So it's like having people in your life that like inspire you helps you show up consistently, but also like becoming someone you trust and like have that internal not worrying about the external validation, but worrying about like how you feel about yourself, and that reliability is everything. Because I think when you're someone you can trust, like the possibilities are really endless.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that applies to business, relationships, your fitness, as you know. So consistency is really everything.
Yeah. Can we go a couple more minutes?
Dude,
Okay, I could keep going forever. Another theme that I did not have written down, and we talked a little bit about this outside, is giving yourself permission to want what you want, but also go after what you want, and allowing yourself to get clear about what that is, but then also not letting that external kind of hold you back or make you question about what you want. So how have you both gotten very clear about that vision for you, or becoming that we talk about like becoming that 3.0 version, right? There's always next versions. And it's not that 1.0 or 2.0 are bad or not great. It's just you want to continue to evolve, you know, and become all that you can. So how have you guys gotten clear and given yourself permission to go after that and be okay with anything else outside of that?
It's a great question.
I think, once again, having each other helps a lot, because I think when you grow together, like it strengthens your relationship and like your life. But I see a lot of times, like when one person's growing, it can cause you to like settle and like slow down. So I think we're always working towards that like next version of us, but always still being present, like, hey, we're in it now. Like this is what we wanted before, but we're still working towards where we want to be. So I think having that collective vision is helpful. I think setting goals consistently and also sharing it with people in your life for accountability is really helpful, because when I have a goal, like I'll tell Zach and like he holds me accountable, but we like yearly goal set, monthly goal set. I think having coaches helps too. Like that keeps me consistent, always having a coach to help me become that better version of me, because it's easy to slack when like no one's watching, but now I don't have the opportunity to do that. So it really forces me to level up.
You literally live with him.
So I think having like clear goals, values, doing the personal development, and like being surrounded by people who are also leveling up really inspires you. Like that's what I love about Columbus and like meeting people like you, is like everyone's working towards something, or a business owner, and where I'm from, like that's not really common. So I feel like being around other people who are leveling up inspires you to do the same.
Yeah, dude. And I was just thinking about it because we kind of talked about it a couple times throughout the episode, and I'm trying to think of something like tactical that I can tell people to like avoid the external pressure.
Yeah.
But I just keep going back to that idea of just be honest with yourself. Like you have to just be honest with yourself, because that's kind of at least what I've done. Like that's what's helped me. Because even recently, like in times of my life, that external pressure is always there. Like even if you get really confident in what you're doing, like it's still there, because constantly like you're kind of doing what's different. You're not really like falling into the societal norms. And honestly, recently, it was like this past weekend where like she was gone and I was just chilling, dude. And I used to almost like feel like kind of like guilty about that, or like, hey, like I should be like doing this, or I should be doing that. But it's like now I can literally sit there, dude, and do whatever I want. And it's like the best thing ever. And I'm just like living my life, just doing my thing. And it's like the most freeing feeling in the world. But it really does just start with like just being honest with yourself and like, what do you really value? Like we talk about that, like with the wedding thing, like when we were planning our wedding, like everybody was like shocked by this, but it was actually like so easy for us.
Yeah, we
like,
had the best time.
We literally just like made these decisions like so quickly, because it was like we're decisive. We know what we want. We know what we value. We don't let external pressure like tell us what we should want.
We're on the same wavelength.
And I think a lot of it does come from like having parents who are like open and not like super like down our necks. Like I know that has helped us big time. Yeah. Because then it's like my parents were very like explore, like be yourself, try things, which like definitely like I joke with like some of my in-person clients I've been training for years. Like that definitely is like a lot of why I am this way. Like I'm definitely not going to discount that. Like how they raised me for sure, like unlock this mindset. But I do just think, because I even gaining that confidence in myself of like how I do things, I still, like I said, feel that pressure. But it's like because I'm so confident and like so convicted in who I am and what I value and what makes me like Zach Turnure happy, like I literally have reached a point where I literally do not care. Like I literally do not. Like what anybody else is doing, like I'm literally just like, this is what I value. This is what I love. And I think it takes a lot of just like, honestly, just like, and I'm not like hyping myself up, but like it does take a lot of courage to like get there and like kind of cut through all of those like, I guess, things that we've been conditioned to believe. Cause that's how I like talking about personal development. Like even when we were single, like that's honestly was like what helped me was breaking down all of those kind of like, so I feel like I did that at a young age, and then I just refined it as I got older, where it was like, I early on asked myself, like in that moment where I was like miserable in the job, like I got very real with myself and honest with myself, like in that moment. And then that kind of just like sparked everything else after that, where like now I'm able to kind of refine that and truly get to a place like I was referencing this past weekend, where like I truly do feel that way finally now. That's so good. Where like you can get to that place where you feel very confident in what you're doing, but it takes work. Like it takes breaking down those layers of like conditioning we've gotten from our parents, from like just society and everything. And then, because honestly, then you look around at the world, dude, and it's like the people who are the happiest are the ones like living on their own terms, doing shit how they want to do it. And I think like the people who are tweaking and freaking out are the ones who are like literally letting every single person around them dictate what they should be doing. Like that's the version of me I would have been if I didn't take that action that we talked about this whole podcast. So it's just crazy. Like everything kind of goes back to like this whole theme we've been talking about.
I mean, it's taken work, too.
Yeah,
and
it's work.
It's interesting that you talked about kind of your reflection point of in-person or online.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever talked about this, but a couple years ago, I had a coach, too, right? And it was like online.
Yeah.
And there was massive success financially for people that did that. And I still am online, so I'm still obviously very pro it. You can help people, great. But I didn't understand myself well enough that I really craved in person to some extent. And I would battle myself so deeply on it. Because no, this is the way. This is what people tell me I should do.
100%, dude.
I saw the payoff of it on the back end, not just financially, but to be able to help people really well and build that. And I steered away from that. And I let my ego get into it a little bit. And this is no shade for anybody that's in person. But being very honest, I felt kind of less than if I would go in person versus building this online thing. Yeah. And my ego played so deeply into it. And so I was like, I felt like I was walking through mud in like that 2-year season of, I was still progressing the business. We were still helping people. But me, Kelsey Lensman, the human, I didn't have that fire inside. And I was doing the right things. And we were producing decent amount of help, and financially we were doing fine, but I felt so dead inside doing it. And that was hard for me to acknowledge, because I'm like, well, why isn't this working? And I thought it was a problem in the business. I thought it was a problem externally, when really it was me not being self-aware enough to understand what I value and what I need, regardless of what my ego thinks about it, and regardless of just like preconceived notions by other people.
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's the journey though, and it's the process.
And something I've learned too is like everyone's personality is so different. Like I'm big on like Enneagrams, and do you know what yours is?
So I used to be a 3, but now I keep testing a 7, which I think that's like
it's like you're very spontaneous, like free spirit. Your Enneagram can change through like big life changes, so that makes sense that like yours changes over time. But we're very similar. I'm a 3-2 and he's a 2-3, so like your personality type is so different, and like how you coach and like the way you do things, but also in like me being like fully online and him being in person, we're just like, he like loves that like from sports, like the in-person hype and like the excitement,
that community,
and like every coach I've ever had is online, so that's like all I know. And I love like the freedom to work from home and like thinking about our future family and stuff. Like I do miss like in-person events. That's something like I want to get more into this year too. But I think like we're just different personality types. I think when you try and fit a mold, or like you compare like, oh, they're doing this, so I have to do it that way, it creates this unalignment or like misalignment where like you feel off, you feel like drained, or you feel anxious because you know you're not listening to like your true calling. And like you can tell from your personality, like your in-person vibe and like the events that you do, like
I go crazy.
You were ignoring it.
With Captain, I go crazy.
When you ignore that for both of you, like you feel it. And so I think
like what
like
we talked about with Jackson too, like
that's
before we walked in is like, you know, Jackson wanted one thing, I want another thing, but it's not like one's right or wrong. It's like, and I think that's valuable for people to hear, is like,
everyone's
as
different.
You can hear from all of us, like we're all doing the thing, but like equally like well, but like differently, and no one's like right or wrong. Like everyone's doing it right.
Like, just like in our element. And when you're in your element, you succeed even more because you like are showing up differently.
And you want to cheer people on with it. Like there's less, and I'm all about competing, but there's less of like a negative competition aspect of it. It's more of like,
we can all
go
win.
Crush it, girl. Like go crush it, because we're each individually in the place that we know that we need to be, leading the mission that we know we're meant to lead. And when I was going through that 2-year period, I felt more jealousy or negative emotions come up than I've ever felt. And it was just because I wasn't true to who I was or who God created me to be, you know?
100%.
So it's just giving yourself permission to understand yourself well enough to know what you need to do for you.
Yes. Yeah. 100%, dude.
Man, I could talk about this stuff forever. Okay, I really need to honor your time. But is there anything else that has either come up in your minds or that you want to share? We have a lot of audience that some start businesses, but they're about growth. They're about taking that, obviously seeking the edge of your comfort zone is the whole ethos of it. Is there anything else that would come up or that you want to share?
Yeah, I would say that there are going to be seasons. Like it's not just like weight loss. It's not linear. Like you're not always going to be crushing it. And I feel like social media is a highlight reel. And like even if you were to look at our social media, like we do share like, you know, the down moments, but like you're not like seeing the behind the scenes of like
we don't talk about it as much as we could. But
of like doubt or like, am I doing the right thing? Or even when like you feel like you don't want to show up, but like you have to. And I think that those seasons are where the growth really happens and it shapes you. I've gone through enough of them to know like it shapes me into the coach I'm supposed to be or like the woman I'm supposed to be. And I've seen it in Zach too, and I feel like I'm only 2 years older than Zach, but like in business and stuff, I feel like I coach him a lot, but I'm like,
but she's just further along. Like you've just been doing this longer than I have. So like it's just so crazy because I have a feeling where you're going with this, but like she like learns these things.
You are married.
Yeah, she learns these things like ahead of me learning them.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like a few steps ahead where like she'll even like give me advice and has given me advice. And I'm not even like, I haven't gone through the thing to even like understand the advice. So it's like, that's been interesting. Where like she learns things, but I have a feeling. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like, I remember a walk specifically where like you were in the season of just like instant growth. And I'm like, I had in this span of time, like 3, like I was down bad. Like I had really a lot of lessons and like I had to grow from it. And that made me like able to handle like that next level of growth or like problem solutions, whatever that may be. I'm a big solution person. And then when he started to experience some like we'll just say adversity, like these moments where adversity, and I'm like, you're gonna be grateful for this on the other side, but that's not what you want to hear in the moment. No one wants to hear that.
I even told you too. I was like, I even had the awareness where I was like, yo, like the first couple of years, like because I was able to take like everything she basically had learned and like run with it because like she had already hired like a bunch of business coaches and like multiple and like you had put in so much and you know how it is, Kelsey, like you learn some of those things, like it can be. You can grow in 1 year what it would take 5 years. Right. So like I was able to take everything that she learned and just like hit the ground running
Right.
in the first 2 to 3 years. And then like come like year 3, year 4, that's when like some really hard adversity hit, like actual hard adversity. And that's,
Right.
and we even had that conversation. I think like in the moment it was happening, I told you even where I was like, I kind of like deserve this. Like,
It's like the
this has
first
been,
time.
this has been
Growing
like,
pains.
this has been like, in all honesty, like, it was hard.
Yeah.
Like it was still hard. Like I make it sound like it was easy. Like, don't get me wrong, people, like it was still hard, but just like in comparison to like, say like your first 2-3 years where
Right.
you didn't have any guidance or help or any knowledge on like systems and like pricing and
Right.
business side of things. Like I was able to like run with that, what you had already learned, still like going through some adversity, but then it was like the actual like hard shit is like what happened. And then I was like, I actually need this. Like I need to go through this. I need, as much as I was having that moment of like, this sucks. Why am I dealing with this victim mentality? It's like, no, like you need this because I did. Like I literally need it. I needed it. And then even from there, like there was even multiple, like, I just feel like the whole 2024 was kind of just like adverse. And like, yeah, the literal only way to like get to that next stage and that next level is to go through that shit. And that's the most ironic thing is like when you do get to the other side and like that win comes in, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like that's okay. Like kind of like what she said, you go through it enough times where you realize like, okay, there's going to be some down periods.
Yeah.
So that would be, to complement what Kristina said, like that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give to people is like, dude, there is going to be seasons, like Chris said, where you are like, you feel like everything's failing. Like you feel like everything is like sucking, no light at the end of the tunnel. But if you just keep going, like you keep showing up with those inputs, like again, the consistency, like it drops, dude. Like it's crazy. Some of the, I mean, we could tell some of them, but like some of these business experiences I've had where like, you know, something will happen out of the blue, like an opportunity, but it's like I've been grinding, nothing, bang.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, like that
Those
came,
inputs
that
add
only came because I kept going
Right.
like during all of those days, weeks, months of just like adversity, but still showing up, still following through with the inputs.
Yeah.
And then that thing happens. So it's like, no matter if you're in your fitness journey, dude, like a business journey, like literally no matter what you are doing, like, and it as long as you just commit to those inputs, like the outputs like truly will come.
Yeah,
And sometimes we can't like predict when, especially owning and operating a fitness business.
Right.
But you can position yourself in a much better likelihood to achieve success when you're putting those reps in. But if we never put in those reps and we're just playing the victim all those days, like, oh, woe is me, I'm not taking action, then of course we're never going to get there.
Right.
But it's like that
Right.
ability to like still show up even when it sucks hard, feels like you're failing, is literally how you win,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it shapes
good.
you. So
Shapes you.
keep showing up would be our advice.
Yeah, just keep going, dude.
And it's like behind the door or behind the scenes season. I was listening to a sermon. It was talking about like how God will refine you before he puts you out sometimes into the light. And
Literally.
thank God for those seasons, because if I got what I wanted
Correct.
5 years ago, that would have broke me
Yeah.
instead of built me.
I just got
and
chills.
and it's like going through it, it's like, but I want this, and you feel like you're ready, and come on, you know, it's just like, come on. But then hindsight 2020 will give you, man, that girl wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I hope the listener that's listening to this, that is in that season of getting built and in the season of you're not stepping into the light, or you're not achieving the success that you're going after, it's all working for good. It's all
100%.
working out to be good, and continuing, like you said, to put in the reps in those seasons and learn about yourself, and honestly be grateful for those seasons that you don't have potentially the exposure or the stress, or that you don't have necessarily the capacity to hold it yet. Like you're understanding the capacity to hold that next level in this season, and that's a beautiful thing at the end of the day.
Dude, it is. It's so wild how all of those times, like you go through it, you get to that next level, and to your point, you're like, I literally wouldn't have been able to handle the things I'm now able to handle if I didn't learn those lessons. And that's been really trippy, just like going through that in real time. Like it's just trippy.
It is. And something, this will be the last thing to say, but a quote that I say to my clients all the time is relationships. Like we coach women, like they're going through breakups, they're going through so many different emotions, and same with like jobs. Like people are leveling up in jobs, promotions, interviews, and with our businesses, I'm always like, what is for you will not pass you. And I think that gives you a lot of faith in like you said, like if it was for you 5 years ago, like it wouldn't feel right. So I think that having that thought in the back of your mind will help you in those seasons of like rejection or redirection where you think life is over. But if it was for you, it wouldn't pass you.
I could talk to you both forever.
I know.
I really could.
I know. I feel like we scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We honestly did go deep. That was phenomenal.
I didn't even go off half my notes. I was like, oh, we'll talk about relationship. No, we didn't talk about any of that.
We wove it in there, but
No,
Yeah.
that was great, dude. You asked great questions.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I want to really honor you both for becoming the people that you are today, because a common thread through this whole podcast too is who you surround yourself with, whether that be podcasts, books, whatever that is, and how even more beautiful that it can be in the same location in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
So I see you both inspire me in different ways,
Thank
whether it be
you.
personally or professionally. And I'm just grateful also to, not to sound cheesy on this, but like I'm grateful to have the relationships with both of you and to continue to build it.
Oh,
For
the feeling
sure.
is so mutual.
Very mutual.
Yeah, like the vibe you give off just makes us feel, able to open up, and I know that's how you are for your people
Dude,
too.
And
So
it's just very real. Like
Yeah.
we all get it, Like
Yeah.
we all are doing like even though we're all doing like slightly different things, like we're all like doing the same thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like,
We're making people better.
Yeah. And the
making ourselves
mindset
better.
is so similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. If they can reach both of you, where should I send people to? We'll put it in the notes, obviously, but where can they reach both of you at?
my Instagram name is Kristina Turnure. Last name is Turnure, and it's Kristina with a
Doesn't
K.
sound like it.
Doesn't sound like it.
And we have Life Rewired Podcast.
Love
There's like 170 episodes, by this point.
Nice.
My business is Built in Balance. And my Instagram for that is just Built in Balance as well.
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram, so at Zach with an H, Zach, and then Turnure, Turnure.
Love it.
Yeah, that's honestly like my main hub. Like I'm on other stuff, but if you want to hit me up, definitely hit me up there.
Yeah, I love it. And when I'm going to challenge those that listen to this, because there's so much gold that both of you drop, I'm going to listen back to it. But for those that listen back and if there's one thing that really hits home that either of you said, I'm going to challenge them to put both of you in a group or individually and tell you what hit home with them. Because when you do this stuff, like you said, the delayed gratification, it's like, is anybody listening or what was really helpful?
Yeah.
And as I don't like to say creator, but like as a creator, somebody that's producing value, at least for me, it feels so good when I receive those messages.
Yeah.
So I really want whoever's listening to this to message both of you and just tell you guys what that hit home. So
I
Love
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you so
definitely.
much for having us. This has been so fun.
Yeah, this was great.
yeah, love it. All right, crew. This week, put something in action here. We don't want you to listen to it and then keep living the same life. I'm personally going to put in action of asking myself, okay, what is your vision? Where are you headed? And not just one time, but continually every single day. So as always, seek the edge of your comfort zone. You are made for more than you could imagine, and we'll see you soon.